man losing his life in a house, but there are still no suspects. An associate of Lil Durk hunted and stood over while walking with his daughter. There are two things you don't want to be known for in the city: being connected to a guy that's on a lot of people's hit list and making a very disrespectful song. But being a gang member in today's world, you can easily end up as both. As I spoke on in
one thing about them diss songs, bro, you can make 1,000 diss a day. That shit is gonna catch up with you, bro. It's gonna catch up with you. A diss is just no point in dissing, gang. If you did what you did, okay, smooth. A diss, leave that shit out the window.
In my first Chicago videos, I heard a diss song become a trend on TikTok years ago, and I discovered that it was a kid named Bando Hothead. Now, two things that aren't new in Chicago are people dying after a song is released and gun trades gone wrong. All of this is alleged, but with the renegade culture of the streets, the only reason a gun trade would occur is if one or both weapons are hot. And if I need to tell you what that means, I'm not sure you'll understand the rest of this video. So already, as soon as you agree to something like this, you're setting yourself up essentially, one way or the other. There's a very haunting photo of a cop standing over Hothead at the crime scene, appearing to crack a smile. Now, I believe that as a Chicago police officer, you can become desensitized to a lot. And he could have simply been joking with another officer about something completely unrelated, as to say a homicide scene is business as usual here would be an understatement. But then again, most people in the city would tell you that the reason there aren't more arrests in cases like this is because the cops know the streets will come and get you much faster than any legal process. One example of this is someone I won't name, but if you're in tune with the Chicago scene, you know that in a certain hood there was a fist fight, one guy lost badly, and when his attacker got up and turned around, he was shot in the back. This entire incident was live streamed and is literally still on the internet today. Yet the Chicago police act like they saw nothing, likely figuring that this guy would die before they could ever bring up charges. He did not, but there is no real proof, and like most things in Chicago, we'll probably never know. THFTP is a guy that's been around for a long time, and unfortunately for him, he was both things that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. He rose to fame when he dropped a song called Bus Stop. You can always gauge how disrespectful a song is by counting how many people in the music video are now deceased. This video came out almost 10 years ago, and there are at least 6 people in it that are no longer here, including TP and Lil Durk's older brother, D-Thang. And this song is a great example of why something like this is not worth it. Durk's brother was in the video, it got over 2 million views, but no life-changing record deal came out of it. He didn't get the same chance Durk gave Von. All he got was extra fire added to his name. Now, being from the south side, the most mysterious thing about his death is that it occurred on the west side, with any part of the west side being at least 15 minutes away from the south side by car, not counting traffic, as it could take you 30 to 40 minutes. Like in most big cities, unless the police or especially the feds grab you, most people are not willing to provide witness statements to the police regarding gruesome crimes, as it still probably wouldn't lead to—
in the hood, but ain't nobody finna be like, oh, this what happened, unless it was some weird ass activity going on. But if they know there's some gang shit going on, ain't no witness finna pop and be like, oh, well, I seen this young man trying to shoot her. That's not happening, gang. Unless they some super snitches, like I said.
To a conviction. Now, when TP was caught, a man claimed his wife was there and she allegedly noticed the two assailants eating inside with their hoods on until they spotted TP, then they ran out of the restaurant. Now, this is a claim from the internet that appears to have one major hole in it. The shooters popped out of a car, not a building, and the car immediately busted a U-turn after the shooting going past MacArthur's, the restaurant across the street. And since the public version of this video starts with the assailant's car already in the street, we don't know where it came from. Now, it's possible that these guys were eating across the street at this restaurant, but the alleged husband of the witness claimed that TP and his killers were in the same restaurant. It's also possible that these guys were in the same restaurant and they simply exited and brought the car around so they could have a clean getaway, and this could very well be true, but regardless, it remains unsolved. The main guys TP was known to be in tour with were at least a 30-minute drive away, and he's been in the streets so long that it's hard to believe they couldn't have just caught him sooner out south. And also, due to his age, I doubt that it was any guys from his generation anyway. These could be teenagers to guys in their early 20s. But the fact that it happened in front of his daughter leads me to believe that either money was involved or a very personal vendetta. And I must admit, one thing that has changed from my era to the teenagers of today is that money is actually being put up on some of these guys. Back in my day, people would lie and act like they were doing hits for $1,500 as if that was enough to take a life, but in reality, most of it happened for free, out of fear or a psychotic urge, meaning it was either this guy had to go because he was terrorizing us, or the 1 out of 10 guys in the hood that was actually bloodthirsty went on the hunt. But, and since this didn't happen in the upscale part of the city, nor did any kids get hurt, we might not ever have an answer. As somebody that played the streets as long as TP is unlikely to get any remorse from the Chicago police. And they also probably figured that if it's serious enough, the guys that did this to him will have their own judge, jury, and executioner in the streets. Now, Trello, also known as GGE Trello, was much younger, being only 22 years old when he died. But this guy, despite his age, had been rapping for a long time, and it makes you wonder why you hadn't heard of him. But that's because, like most rappers in the city, he didn't start to get much recognition until he got really disrespectful. But one day, guys are gonna have to learn that there's no money in rap. Obviously, there are people who make millions from it, but they account for less than 1% of all so-called rappers. The guys covering news stories on YouTube about these rappers every time they go to jail or go viral make way more money than any of them. Rapping has got to be one of the biggest myths out there, and most of these guys honestly would have made a comfortable living just making.
Like, I'm gonna say some real shit about the industry. I'm not a rapper. I never been a rapper, but it's just all facts I heard, bro. When you in the industry, bro, if you in that motherfucker by yourself, you don't have no friend, no industry friends, no connection, no nothing, you're not gonna get where you think you gonna be, unless you done did some strange shit for some change, gang. Like, you did some strange for some change. But all that money that you getting is you borrowing that money. You don't get that money and be like, oh well, he made a song today. It's okay. He made a good song today. Drop him, get him a big bat. No, it don't go like that. You pay, if you in the label, you pay your label 10%. You probably get 5%. Like, it gets like that, gang.
Videos talking about their life and experiences, like Take Capone. But Trello came to the spotlight mostly after he and another guy dropped a very disrespectful track, but he was definitely talented though, and he didn't have to take this route at all. But losing friends to violence in the streets at a young age can turn you toward vengeance, and disrespecting the people that caused you pain while getting millions of views for it can actually get to people and maybe cause them to feel a fraction of what you feel. Regardless, you can't just move around the city freely once you go down this path. Now, a lot of people will point to one hood because he was found in an apartment not far from the area the guys he just hang out in. But the only problem with this is he was found inside of a residence. Likely not his own home, so this means he was invited over somewhere he felt very comfortable. Now, someone explained to me how a homicide can occur inside of a home and the police don't solve the crime. Well, in Chicago, there's a controversial law about mutual combatants. Regardless of if you're illegally carrying a firearm or not, the police know there are wars going on, so if someone shoots at you and you end up shooting back, and the other person doesn't make it out of that situation, you'll get let off without any charges.
That shit crazy. Like, Chicago is like one of them fucking cities, bro. Like, that's some GTA ass shit, gang. That shit crazy, bro. Atlanta would never go for no shit like that. They would never go for no shit like that.
Most of the time. But there's hardly enough room to have this type of situation occur inside of a residence. Were the police just called by someone inside the house that said they didn't know what happened? Or was he alone in the house when whoever called the police arrived? You'd be hard pressed to find a block in Chicago that doesn't have cameras, so the fact that this remains a mystery would be unbelievable if it was any other city than Chicago. Now, I'm sure there's a suspect on file, but having a suspect doesn't mean there's any real admissible evidence, and evidence is hard to come by here. Now, this happened in a neighborhood I've spent a lot of time in, Bronzeville, and a big difference with Bronzeville and West Garfield Park, where the TP story took place, is that Bronzeville is partially gentrified, and some areas in it are very expensive to live in. But again, the police know more than the locals will give them credit for, and his case probably won't get taken as seriously by the police as a result. What these guys don't realize is that disrespecting the dead won't change your life. All it'll do is lead to the end of your life. When you look at a guy like Bloodhound Lil Jeff, yes, he was very disrespectful, and had he still been alive, he could have made hundreds of thousands from his music at the very least. But is that just because he was disrespectful? No. The fascination with true crime has always been a multi-million-dollar industry. Why is a show like First 48 popular? Or the entire channel of A&E? Why are there true crime channels on YouTube with over 1 billion total views? Because it makes for very interesting stories. And something that used to be somewhat uncommon is a guy doing things that could get him 100 years in prison and then rapping about it in great detail as if he knows he'll never live to see the consequences. Just being a talented lyricist and using that talent to disrespect the dead isn't enough. Just making one of the most heinously disrespectful tracks in history, with the entire song centered around one particular murder, is also not enough. Some of these guys think that knowing someone in the industry will get them a ticket out once they do enough views, but the guy they know is usually just a rapper. The guy you need to know is the one that works at the label. Look at TP. Knowing Lil Durk and appearing in pictures with him didn't earn him any opportunity. Yet as soon as King Von got out of jail,
you can't expect to get carried by another man. You can't expect that. You gotta put in that work. You gotta do what you gotta do. If another nigga carrying you, then when you make it, they gonna be like, well, we only know him because of him. They not gonna know you. Be like, they ain't gonna be like, well, I know him because he did. No, they gonna be like, I know him because of him. See what I'm saying? So it's like, you gotta know how that rap industry shit go. You can't just be a rapper one day and thinking, oh, I'm finna be this big rapper by doing the future with Huncho. Like, you not. I'm just saying, it's just example.
Durk put Von's music videos on his channel, giving him an instant boost. And that's because rappers pick and choose. That's why TP couldn't get the same treatment. Now, Trello was all around the city. He had money and likely could have made whatever connection he wanted. But again, rapping is a myth. No label is going to reach into Chicago and give you $1 million for being disrespectful. Even if you can show that you have more mainstream appeal, you still have to have some type of connection at the top, higher than a rapper. So most of these guys just end up dead, and the disrespectful songs they made just end up becoming a I told you so, or a piece of mockery for the guys that didn't like them. The Bloodhounds are the only rappers out of the city with a real consistent buzz, and they got signed by some dudes from Chicago that just so happened to play the executive role and have some label money. If not for them, there would have just been more guys on a long list of people who did 1 million views and disappeared. Hothead's friends went on a huge run, but with this type of music, it's only so far you can go without label money. And now, out of the two most popular guys,
let me tell you one more thing. If you can only make drill songs talking about being disrespectful, talking about the deads, and you can only do that, you're not gonna get far in rap. If you can't switch it up, if you can't switch up your flow, you're not gonna make it. So you thinking you just gonna diss all day, every day, you're not going to get where you want to be in the rap. You have to switch up your flow and everything. You can't just stick with that one thing, bro. So that's another thing niggas don't be knowing.
As they were around him, one is in prison after likely being told on by his own friends, and the other is inconsistent, although he seems to have a good head on his shoulders. But as for the guys mentioned in this video, we're unlikely to ever see these cases resolved, at least in the next 10 years. And yet, their work still remains on the internet for all to see. And unfortunately, it's hard to say the guys will ever learn from this because majority of the time, the dudes with any kind of buzz are all under 19 years old. So trying to learn from others' mistakes as a teenager is less likely than you just being murdered, and thus the cycle will just continue. The labels made a serious error when they first signed the drill artists, creating the false narrative that they would do it again off some type of organic buzz you can build. But that couldn't be further from the truth. To all you aspiring rappers out there, no matter what you rap about, you make more money as a blogger. Adam22 earned more in a year than 85% of the guys you see on his platform. And if you can't see why, I don't know what to tell you. But thanks for watching as always.